My name is Vijay Gandapodi, and I'll be presenting regarding the data science in CPG industries. So let me open up my slides. The part is like once I open up the slides, I won't be able to see the interaction part because it's the way it's been given to me. I'm not presenting to a loaded file. It's more related with my files in my desk. Okay, let's start the session. Regarding my experience, I've been currently working with Reynolds American. I used to work for Coca-Cola, and there I was head of marketing analytics as well as head of data science, overseeing 25 plus project. Currently at Reynolds Americans, I head the data strategy, data science, and then prior to that one at Cox, I was leading the data strategy, and E-Trade Financials, I was more of a CTO. Apart from that, I'm involved in the data science AI domain. I was the chief of data officers, Gartner Atlanta chapter, advisors for Southern Data Science Conference, and then board advisor for TAG. I was invited to Malaysia as a keynote speaker for representing North America, North and South America, as well as I was CDAO North American keynote speaker, as well as for CDO Gartner. I was a keynote speaker. I also was the judge last year for TAG event where I was judging the Atlanta corporate companies related to data science project. In the academic side, I completed my thesis 4 years back, got my doctorate 4 years back, and my thesis has been downloaded in 61 countries. Primarily, some of the theses are related to similar to data science. How do we use R&D to improve sales and EPS? And I'm also a professor. I teach AI, ML, and data scientists, data science workshop as well as full courses, the data analytics course. And I've done about 30 plus advanced AI projects with my students. Some of them are corporate capstone projects. Usually projects what my students do or what I navigate them through for advanced data science projects like reinforcement learning, GAN, and my students have won Microsoft AI Hackathon. But today's session, I will be covering more related to foreign executives, so it's not going to be very technical deep dive, but if there's any questions, I can take it. But this is going to be primarily to on overall CPG industries, because I've met with a lot of my experience with Coca-Cola as well as the current job. I have met with a lot of vendors, a lot of companies, talked with various other companies, and I've been invited as a guest speaker in companies. So I understand how CPG works and what data science really helps them to grow their business. We'll be also talking about all the issues what we run into, primarily to implement a data science, what kind of data quality problems you run into, how do you want to take care of the data engineering. So those are the ones which is going to be the real pain points to implement your data science. So let's start. What is the agenda going to be? The agenda is going to be data science used in CPG industries. We'll cover that one. I will cover about the why we should be focused. This will be a tip. People are noting it down. I'll say a tip so that you can say you can note it down now, because I know you will be in this kind of sessions. There's going to be a lot of talking, but if you can take 10 tips from my session, that will be something which I'll consider successful. So growth data science, where we may want to focus on the growth areas because that's where we'll get funded. So I will cover some of them. I will talk about how do we manage large volumes of data, both at Coke as well as the current company we are in. About Coke is at 208 countries. The current company which I work for, Reynolds, is at 180 countries. So the volumes of data is humongous. We do get a lot of consumers. The consumers are on billions, as well as our customers whom we call where we sell our products are also in huge numbers. It's 10 million at Coke, a number of vendor locations where people can buy the product. So some of the places, outlets where we sell is bigger than a lot of companies where they will have consumers. And then I'll go over the challenges, what we face in data science, and then the use cases. Use cases I'll try to cover as much as possible, but since it's for executives, I'll try to be as fast as possible. So probably most of you know what is a consumer packaged goods industry. These are all the different big brands, and most of you would have used their products. You would have either drank Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Nestle, or you would have eaten foods from some of these products like Campbell soup or Tyson chicken or some of the other things which is mentioned. But what I'm going to be talking about is generally how they operate. What are all the different data science is being used by them, and then how their growth is being impacting based upon the data science which they've been using. Currently, you can see Kimberly-Clark has been doing pretty good because of people are using the cleaning things for COVID. So I will also go over some of the challenges we see when the product changes and how we have to incorporate in the data science part of it, how the assortment has to be handled, what the shipments has to be done, and the challenges what people face because of COVID and supply chain. So I'll cover some of those things. So in a consumer goods industry, I can categorize into 6. That is product innovation, voice of consumer. Here, the CPG industry is directly is closely tied to the GDP part, because it's not going to be like Apple or some other consumer products which goes about 10%, 20% growth. The growth is going to be pretty much very close to the CPG, so GDP, and a little bit of some of the inflation put together, and then the population growth. All those things comes into it. But still, the way the differentiator for these companies is going to be how they are going to be produce the product innovation. When they say product innovation, if you take Coke, it might be the new products what they innovate with a new drink, orange drink. Or if you take if you take P&G, if they come with a newer product, newer soap, or you take Estee Lauder, the different kind of makeup which they come in, which is slightly different. So they create the market share. So market share is very critical, because it's not something where people are moving, because people are already drinking, like people are already drinking 9 drinks a day. So you are not trying to make some changes there. Instead of drinking tap water, they might be drinking bottled water. They might be drinking, but still they are drinking 9 drinks. Whereas if you take Apple, like a mobile phone or the earplugs, which they come, it's a new thing. They were using something else, but it's totally different price range. So so there are new things innovated, but here it's going to be the same products, but a little bit different. So for that one, you need to understand what the consumers are looking for. So we'll talk about the voice of the consumer. Listening to social media is very critical. So CPG industry, second tip point, the social media is very critical. How do you take care of the social media data, cleaning the social media data, the brands, that's very critical. The marketing, nobody spends marketing by this like the CPG industries. When you look at your Super Bowl ad, you can see most of them will be CPG industry. You can see the beer ads, you can see the beverages ad, you can see the chocolate ads. So you know what all is used for the party, because it's consumption. People are consuming, eating, and it's fast moving. People will have to buy it, whether whatever the situation is, they cannot live without it. They have to go to Publix, they have to go to Kroger, they have to go to Walmart, they have to buy these things. It's not like a car or a TV, which we can postpone for a couple of years. So the marketing will be always there, even though the marketing was reduced for other things like the hospitality industry. It was not done for the CPG industry. Supply chain. Again, the supply chain is very critical, because things may change. Like if you look at what happened with Clorox or with Lysol, they would have predicted that the supply chain would have all been totally optimized. Inventory, what was planned, should have been changed. Where you keep your warehouse, your demand has totally skyrocketed. And for some of them, the demand has been pretty low, because some products are not being bought. Even though it's fast moving, people will say, okay, I'm not going to be, the makeup was initially was not there, but now the makeup has gone up because people are talking in front of their computers. So the manufacturing, supply chain is part of the whole thing. Manufacturing comes within that, but if you take manufacturing itself, has a lot of data science projects. One of the tips I want to share, when I did the judging last year for Atlanta, most of the solutions, the top 5, and we said like the 2 of them are related to manufacturing, the fault tolerance, especially the Southern company who's taking care of our utility part of it. And they had implemented a fault tolerance. There was another lift company where they were predictive maintenance. So the fault tolerance is becoming big because those are the data science which will be usually very successful. It will not give you very high returns, but it's very predictable because you're not depending on a market. It's basically what you are trying to do is within your data, what you're producing. You're not going after the market data. So it's very successful with manufacturing and operations. Then you have the sales distribution, where you want to get your products, and consumer management is becoming very popular with D2C. Uh, so especially with COVID, this particular data science is huge because earlier, prior to that one, the e-commerce was not that huge for some of the CPG because people are still going to going to Publix, Walmart to buy things. But now, in my house, we are primarily buying everything from Amazon, except for some of the milk and some vegetables or whatever we eat. All other things we are not going to any of the stores. We want to buy everything by touch of a button, which means some of the companies you don't need to go to Amazon you can go directly to the stores. Like you can see Nike's results. Their results are so good because they were doing a D2C and the margins were very high. So now this chart is very popular whenever I present this. This is the McKinsey's chart. When I was doing my own research on this, I also came very close to this one. You can see in 2030 how data science backed companies growth is going to be. This is an average, but the companies who are leading may go even higher. And the companies who are who are not, are going to be crushed by the companies who are going to be ahead of them in data science. Another tip which you want to take when you want to go back and fund your data science projects, you probably want to say that by 2030, if you are not going to be having a data science solutions in various areas, what I was mentioning, you probably will be losing a lot of your market share will be lost, and the companies which have data science implemented will be gaining your market share. Again, as I mentioned earlier, in CPG industry, primarily it's market share because people are already using some product or other related to their daily use. So you have to grab the market share from your competitors. So again, this slide I will also go very fast because it's another McKinsey slide. How in 2030, 1.2% of the GDP will be contributed by the data science. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is the growth AI is going to be better than the efficiency based because you have to capture market share. The market share capturing is going to come only by implementing growth AI or data science in growth field. And so there are three types of data science and AI solutions in CPG. One is growth. So let me take a minute here. You have new products, which we talked about, basically listening like when you are going to come with new products, new trends, new brands, you listen to the consumers, which is going to be either to a survey or a trade show or going to be social media. And then you need to also go back and see whenever your new products, how it's been successful. Those are the things of growth. Then marketing, whether you're going to be doing digital marketing or you're going traditional marketing, media. So you probably know with like a company like Coca-Cola spends a lot of money in marketing. You can't go past 10 minutes in a road without seeing another ad of Coca-Cola. It's same for so many other companies, like especially when you are having day-to-day usage products. These are all unpromotion. You may see promotions in various forms, coupons. You may see the products in the promotions in like under the cap promotions or buy one get one free. There are various things, and then outlet segmentation. You want to make sure because you have the product, even though you produce, you have a limited. You need to make sure where you want to send your product, where it will sell. And again, we spend a lot of money, a lot of time. It's called assortment. Another tip number 4, assortments are very critical for CPG industries because there is a small space. Let's take beverage companies like either Coke, Pepsi, or Nestle. If you go to a gas station, there's a very small cooler space. You need to get that one, and then they don't have much space even for their back in their warehouse. So you can't give them too many of your products. You may want to see what is the best product to be given to them. And then the pricing, shelf management. Pricing is very critical because we are talking about millions and millions of products because it's very small. It's not like a car. It's not like a huge product, one product you sell. This is like very, very, very small products with so you have to you should make sure what should be the price because I'm just using Coke is because it's easier for me to relate to. And then, or you can take a P&G products, you can take soap, or you can take some of the CPG, which we talked of, food, Tyson chickens. There, the price is like not much. It's like $5, $6. So you have to price it optimal. So pricing makes a big difference, because you can go with 450 or you can go to 5 based upon which location. If you do it in Beverly Hills, it could be even $5, whereas you do it in some places where the economy is not that high. It could be some rural places in like Alabama or Georgia or Mississippi. Some of the places you probably may not be able to sell that price. So pricing is very critical. Shelf space management. I talked about cooler, or in Walmart, you have a small space. You need to make sure like how we can manage the space so that we are not out of stock. Then efficiency, which I talked about it, that's going to be related to equipment, making sure your supply chain, your manufacturing is running pretty optimal, so that you can sell your you don't have an outage. A day outage in any kind of manufacturing has a huge impact. Or if you have a supplier who's not able to deliver you the supply, especially in COVID, like people who are waiting for some of this, when China got impacted, it impacted a lot of CPG industries. So having diversification will be very critical. And then the productivity. You can have voice, image, customer service, auto ML. Those things are all productivity, where for people to do better. Or but primarily the big returns are going to be growth, and then efficiency, and then the productivity part. Again, this one I want to get, because one of the things that I put in my slide is we are not just covering the data science, we are also going to cover about data engineering and data governance critical, because it is going to be a general presentation of all the key things which happens in the CPG industry, not a target, not a very specific one. If you look at, this is the difference: AI, data science, and data. It's a very popular slide because it differentiates between how deep learning, machine learning, data science all is correlated. But all said and done, clean data is still the king. Another tip: don't spend a lot of time in algorithm, because data, if your data is not clean, it's going to be like a very bad oil. Your car is going to stop. Your AI people are not going to adopt. The biggest tip on the success of your data science: you have to make sure your business partner is going to adopt the solution which you have built. It could be you could have built a complex solution. You could have reinforcement learning. It could be machine learning by itself. You can do all those things. I've seen that one with my students, building a pretty complicated solutions. But in real world, you have to make sure whether they're going to adopt or not. So to do that one, data is going to be, because sometimes it might be losing a job. Let's take, we have a campaign manager, and the campaign manager is going to be given a recommendation by the machine saying that, oh, you have to go with FIFA, you go with TV, instead of TV, go spend more money on digital. But later on, they come back and look at how many people have bought the product based upon the marketing. And if it is lower, the person is going to lose a job. If it's going to losing a job, is spending like millions of dollars, you will see subsequently nobody else wants to use your solution. So that's another tip where clean data is still the king. So data pyramid, which is this is how I run my departments. You have data engineering, you have data governance. Data governance is becoming very critical now, especially with self-service, because reporting and all used to be part of the IT, now is being given to the business to generate the reports. To do that one, you need to have self-service. To do the self-service, you need to have catalog. You cannot have jargons and metadata, what we have in our tables, to be used by the business partners. For them to understand, you need to have a data catalog. Security, we all know why it's very important. CDOs or this is the biggest headache, along with the security officer. We make sure the data is protected. Then pricing and promotional optimization. So I'll just throw in some of the data science work what we do. So what are the challenges? This is a very important slide, because this is what makes data science adopted. No governance. A lot of times when the data science maturity can be governed from the governance is very low. The quality is not at the source. The quality is bad. So you need to have the AI at the data quality level. Variety. The MDM is very critical. Master data management, because we have so many brands, so many SKUs. If you don't have a proper MDM, you cannot vet what people are sending from your media partners. So these are all critical. The third one, which I say as after I've done my doctorate, when I see all the solutions which is produced by data scientists, the rigor is not there. When we do doctorate programs, we have something called as descriptive analytics, so that there is no bias in the data what we take for our to proving our hypothesis, which I see that lacking in data scientists, because they don't have time, or they probably don't spend that one in descriptive, which means you see a bias in your recommendation, because you're not taking spending time to see what is the median, what is the data, is it having enough data represented. So that time is not being spent. So that's on the model management. And then on the adoption, we already talked about it. So you can't have a black box. You need to be explainable. So again, I'm going to be rushing on some of those things, because this is all you might have heard. The biggest trends are going to be the streaming data, which is going to be from social media and IoT. These are going to be contributing a lot for your streaming data. So this is another popular slide I keep putting, both for data science and data engineering and data governance. You need to finalize your technology stack. Most of them do it, but I know a data lake is not being implemented in a lot of even big companies. It's very critical with unstructured data and streaming data. Then you need to have the MDM model and the model library. Model has to be looked at how you can reuse, because in a company like us, we have like 1,500 reports, 5,000 plus tables, and those kind of things. You need to have models. Models is now growing. Now I've got 500 models, will soon become 5,000, 10,000 models. We need to have libraries so that we can reuse. Data governance, we talked about. Data science center of excellence, making sure people are using the same kind of models, frameworks. Otherwise, data scientists usually wants to use different frameworks. It is hard to manage in a long run. The DevOps solution for code, model, and data, retaining the talent, that's very critical, because they are all very hot at this point, data scientists. So how do you retain them? So what kind of new products which you're going to bring to the table? Then managing cost. The solutions are very expensive, especially you start seeing your cloud cost going up, and the CIOs will ask you to reduce the cost. Stakeholders communication process on a regular basis, and then production operations. So with that, I'm going to go with the use cases. I will just sprinkle the use cases. Voice of consumer is very big in CPG, because we need social media used for new products as well as for marketing. You probably, I talked about the supply chain, right? The truck which goes and make sure, even in COVID time, when you go to Publix, you go to Walmart, you see your products. So there is a lot of data science which goes in, a lot of analytic goes in to make sure the trucks are running, goods are right, because truck also has a small space. And then this has to be done efficiently with less people. So we do demand planning, inventory planning, supply chain, supply planning, goods inventory storage. Manufacturing, we talked about using IoT. How do you make sure that it doesn't have fault tolerance? Then we have distribution. We talked about how do you want the route optimization, both for your trucks as well as for your salespeople. We talked about pricing. These are all the different projects which we use in CPG industry to make sure we increase our growth, as well as we make sure that we get the product into the stores for you to buy, or through e-commerce. And now there's a new trend, direct to e-commerce, which we talked about. E-commerce is becoming big website, because most of the companies are growing at 100% on e-commerce. And these are the areas where we are focusing now on AI and data science. Again, these are all available McKinsey's, where people are spending the manufacturing and supply chain, or huge adoption, marketing and sales. And then you can see here on the CPG industry, which is like it spans across in multiple ones, but healthcare system, automobile assembly, and then so we can see manufacturing is quite high there. But the other trends in the industry is now just joining. Earlier, you have data science only one, but now you have data science supply chain along with marketing. So I'm seeing solutions married together. With that, I know well, it's a short presentation, 20 minutes, so I can take some questions.